AmazingPhil. So I watched your 1 second video, I think it was about a week ago, and it was making me think if I'd ever had any split-second decisions or things where I could have died or that changed my life or something like that. And I couldn't really think of any at the time, so I just went about my life as usual, do-do-do. Then it came to that next Friday, and the week after that was our spring break. So that Friday morning I was going home, and I was driving home from university where I go home because I only had one class that day and it was canceled, so I got to leave on Friday morning. And so I'm driving along and it's kind of raining, and so the roads are a little bit slippery, and I go to take the exit of the highway where I'm at, just driving along, doo-doo-doo, and then my car started sliding. So I kind of panicked and I hit the brakes and I slung the steering wheel, and the car swung out and it was going sideways. Like it was sliding, and but it swung out and it was sliding sideways, like along the road, and it was so scary. So it was sliding along, and then it kind of went off the road onto the grass, and about a second before it happened, I could kind of tell because the car was kind of tipping up, and I was like, oh crap, the car is gonna flip over. And sure enough, it started rolling, so the car rolled over at least once and a quarter. It might have been two, it just happened really fast, so I'm not for sure. But it landed on the side, and it was so weird because I was just panicking the whole time. I was freaking out. It felt sort of like I was staying still, but the earth and sky had just switched places around me. It was so weird, and it was really scary too. And so finally the car came to a stop, and it was on its side, and I was just hanging there in my seatbelt. Luckily I had been wearing my seatbelt, or I probably would have been really hurt badly, and I was fine, so that's good. So I was hanging there by my seatbelt, and some guy stopped and they got me to crawl out the back. Unfortunately, my car was all smashed up and it's totaled, so that's sad. And a couple of other things got broken, like one of my CDs got smashed to smithereens, so that was kind of sad. But one of the worst things, besides my car, was my guitar was in the back seat, and it got smashed up to little thousand pieces. And I was so sad. I'm still really sad about it. And I feel like a little piece of me has died. Or like how Harry Potter felt when his Nimbus 2000 got smashed by the Whomping Willow. So yeah, that was really sad. So then after that, that was pretty much all the exciting part, was the crash, and then it was just kind of boring, and the EMTs came and checked me out, and they said I was fine, I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. And then after that, the cops came, and one of the cops wrote me a ticket. That doesn't have any like important information. I'm gonna cover up my address. See? Which is pretty upsetting because I thought the whole point of tickets was to make sure that you don't do it again, and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna be a lot more careful now, especially when it's raining. The part that really gets me is that he wrote the violation for unsafe speed, but he has no idea how fast I was going because he was nowhere near the area of the accident at the time, and he didn't come up until like 20 minutes later. And cops in America are just kind of like that though, especially the small town ones. I think the big town ones aren't as bad because they see real crime, so they don't have to invent them everywhere they go. But the small town cops, I don't think I've ever met a single one who was not a jerk, because they just think that they're so important and they're the last barrier between civilization and chaos, but instead it's like, you just wrote a 21-year-old girl a ticket after she almost died. Congratulations. Society is safe in your hands. I know you've already been to America and stuff before, but whenever you come again, just be careful and make sure you don't get pulled over, especially if you're going in a small town, because the cops will just try and write your ticket for anything they can. I was confused and disoriented because I just flipped my car, and so he comes over and he acts like he's all concerned and he just wants to figure out what happened, and he suggests what he wants to write the ticket for to you. So he goes, so you were just going along and the exit came up faster than you were expecting and you just took it too fast? And I knew I wasn't speeding, so I was like, what am I even supposed to say to this? And so I was just like, I guess, I don't know, I mean, it was raining, it was slippery. And so he takes that as a confirmation and he goes ahead and writes me a ticket. just really annoying because now I have this ticket and I didn't even really, I mean, yes, I crashed my car, but I didn't damage any property. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't breaking the law. So it's really frustrating. But yeah, I'm still going to pay it because I don't feel like going to court, which is what they're counting on when they write you the ticket, because they know you're not going to argue about it usually, especially if you don't live in the area. It'd be a big pain to go back to the town that you were driving through and try to defend yourself in court. But it was okay and I didn't die and everything. But that's not even the end of the story. So after I had this accident, my mom came to pick me up. They towed the car and everything. Me and my mom had been planning to take a road trip sort of to Tennessee to one of my brother's performances so we could watch him. And so, you know, we're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we had already watched my brother perform, and we were just doing some touristy things. And I don't know if you've ever taken one, but in a lot of places they have these ghost tours, and they're really fun because you walk around to different sites in the city, and they tell you about ghost stories and stuff. And I don't really believe in ghosts, but it's still really fun to hear the stories. And sometimes I even like I don't believe in ghosts, and I was still getting kind of creeped out sometimes with some of the stories. So it's fun. But anyway, we were on this ghost tour, me and my mom, and there were two other couples, and then our tour guide, who was a woman. So we were walking across the street, and we had, you know, there was the red light going the other way, and we had the walk sign and everything, so we were completely in the right. We were walking across the street, and we kind of saw this car coming up towards us, but we were all thinking, oh, he's going to stop because he has a red light. So we just kept going across the street, and we were thinking he's going to stop. And at some point, I just remember thinking, I don't think he's going to stop. So we all kind of, one of the men grabbed his wife and like pulled her out to the side. She was like the closest to the car, so she probably would have gotten hit first. And our tour guide just screamed. And I think that's what made him look up, because I don't think even then he wasn't going to stop. I think he heard her scream and he looked up. I think he might have been texting while driving or something. And so finally he stopped just in time. And our tour guide goes, "You have a red light. What's wrong with you?" And he goes, "Oh, sorry." And we're like, "Oh, yeah, you're sorry." And we were just all so shocked. I think we probably would have given him a bit of a hard time if we had been thinking correctly, but we were just so shocked that he wasn't going to stop. And so we just kept going, and we were, oh my goodness. So that was the second time that I almost died, and that was only 2 days after I had my car accident. So I went from having no split second, almost life changing experiences that I could remember to having two in the span of only 3 days. So that was an exciting weekend. Yep.